Hello, today I'm going to talk about dealing with extreme anxiety, which can occur certainly during times of holiday seasons when we're put into situations such as family gatherings or places that we don't really want to go, perhaps socialising, or just everyday events that trigger you. So I'm going to show you a few techniques which I hope will help you and you can practice and see how you get on. Now, you know, the first thing we do when we have a panic attack is that we feel that we're going through a kind of fight or flight response. And it goes back to sort of ancient caveman type days when it was a matter of life or death as to whether we would run away from danger, freeze, like some animals do, to be completely still, or fight back. And it's the same sort of instinct that's still running within us now. So when we see something or experience something that it is a perceived threat to us, then sometimes we can go into this high anxiety state, this fight or flight response. So one of the things that happens during the fight or flight response when we have this perceived threat is that our heart can race really fast. And a very simple and quick tool to just slow the heartbeat down is where it's beating along the side of the neck, sometimes either side. If you just put your hand on the pulse there, and just putting your hand on the pulse, feeling the pulse, and just pressing very gently in, will begin to slow the heart rate down. It just slows the pulse down very, very slightly. It's not a fix-all technique, but it does just slow the heartbeat down and also redirects your attention to being a little bit more in control. So just try that. If your heartbeat is racing really fast, just put your fingers just around your pulse, just under your ear there. I don't know if you can see there. And then you'll just feel the heart and the pulse just slowly reduce just by putting a little bit of pressure there. That's it. The other thing to realise, okay, tip number 2, is that you are the one that's creating this. So you are the one that's creating this perceived threat, albeit coming from the subconscious mind at some level. But it's worth remembering that you are the one that is in control. Even though it feels like you're completely out of control, you are in control at all times. So you are making the choice to react in the way that you're doing. And I know it's coming from the subconscious mind and it feels like you're not making that choice, because I know you would rather choose to feel differently. But you are the one that is still making the choice to behave like this. So keep that in mind, because thoughts only ever think about thoughts. And so the thoughts that you put into the subconscious mind, or the programming that you put into the subconscious mind, is what is creating this panicky or high anxiety feeling that you're experiencing at that moment. So point number 3, or tip number 3, it's only energy. And the more that you can remember that, then the more that you recognize that there is nothing to fear. Obviously, there are real life and death situations where a fight and flight response is necessary. But when we have a perceived threat, so a threat that doesn't really exist, but it's a trigger that's set off by the subconscious mind, then you have to recognize that what you're going through, this whole fight or flight response, is coming from a perception, not an actual threat. And therefore recognize that it is only energy. And if you can allow yourself to feel into that whole energy, and it is scary, I've been there, I know what it feels like, then what you're effectively doing is kind of taking control of that perceived attack, if you like. So imagine it started coming on and you're starting to get the sweaty palms and the heart rate going and everything else, and you're in that perceived attack. If you actually stay with it, knowing that you are completely safe at that moment in time, if you stay with it and say to yourself, this is only energy, this is only energy, do your worst. You will find it will intensify, and it will intensify, and it will intensify, and then if you stay with it, it will disappear. because you see it has nowhere to go. There's nothing else to do. If you're allowing yourself to actually feel into that energy, then it has nowhere else to go, and eventually it will just disappear. It's like a computer program that says go to X number line and pick up instructions there, and there are no instructions for it to go to, so it has nowhere else to go, and it will just disappear. But it's having that courage to stay with it, because that intensity is overwhelming. But if you stay with it, recognizing it is just energy, it will disappear, and then you'll find you'll really start to gain in confidence. Now, another thing to practice is switching on and switching off the feelings of that perceived attack, so that fight or flight response, so that you recognize you are actually in control. So I want you just to imagine now that you are experiencing this perceived threat. So just think about something that you're really anxious about, and allow yourself to really tune in as if you're actually there. It might even be something like fear of the dentist or fear of heights or something like that. Now imagine that heart rate starting to go. Just close your eyes and imagine it's starting to get faster. So you imagine maybe you're up a ladder somewhere or sitting in the dentist's waiting room. Just imagine it beating away, getting faster, and you're feeling like you're starting to generate that anxiety that you're actually in. Now I want you to imagine the heart rate getting slower. Just imagine now you're taking your time and everything's getting slower now. Just focus on your breathing, breathing in through the stomach, using the diaphragm, and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And notice how your heart rate is beginning to drop. So you see how easy it is to control between getting all panicky and getting out of control. Sorry, getting back in control again. And you can also do this as well if you're imagining you're in that fearful situation. Your hands are getting clammy, maybe a bit of sweat on the back of your neck or on your forehead. Hands are getting clammy again. It's the same sort of situation again if you imagine you're going through that fight or flight response. And then just take yourself to a very pleasant place in your mind, and then imagine you're cooling down, getting very calm and peaceful again. So you'll see you're able to control that panicky anxiety feeling, and you're able to control the calmness and the peace that comes in as well. So really you are in control. You are controlling both feelings, both sides of the feelings, the anxiety and the calmness as well. But what's happened is your mind is kind of been allowed to get carried away, and your body with it, and you've allowed that threat to kind of take control of you. And it's about taking back that control once again, so that you recognize that actually you decide what happens. You decide whether to have an anxiety attack or not. That feeling does not have control over you. What's happened is you've got into the habit through whatever experience of allowing that feeling to take control of you. And it is about taking back that control. And you can do that with many different things, through reprogramming the subconscious mind, through practicing this sort of calm and breathing and different and various techniques, some of which are on my YouTube channel, or you can actually take back that control through actually facing the fear itself, through going to that fear, going to that perceived threat, standing there and allowing yourself to feel it and immerse yourself in it fully and completely. Hope that helps.